Hey guys, it's Dean. Mario Party 7 is the fourth and final Mario Party title on Nintendo's GameCube. No console has ever seen more Mario Party games since, and I'd be surprised to see a console in the future surpass that amount. DLC has completely changed the game when it comes to game releases and sequels, and while Mario Party as a franchise has yet to adopt the DLC practice, you'd have to assume that it will at some point in the near future. Plus, disregarding DLC, we are now 3 console generations beyond the GameCube, and there have only been 5 more mainline Mario Party games from Mario Party 8 to Superstars. In fact, the closest we got to having 4 Mario Party games on a single console are the 3 games released on the 3DS, but those are hardly considered mainline Mario Party games. Despite all of this, I firmly believe if Mario Party 6 had released about 15 years later than it actually did, what we now know as Mario Party 7 wouldn't have existed. In its place, we'd see DLC content mirroring what we know as Mario Party 7, because Mario Party 7 is a lot more similar to Mario Party 6 than any other pair of Mario Party games in the past. The question, however, is whether or not Mario Party 7 is an improvement of its predecessor, or if it ceases to impress like many other Mario Party sequels in the past. In my last video, I discussed the popularity of Mario Party 6 and how it's viewed by the fanbase to this day. I also mentioned my personal thoughts regarding the fans' perspective. To summarize, I think that Mario Party 6 is a game that doesn't shine as bright as the fans seem to think it does, but also doesn't do many things wrong. It's an okay game as far as Mario Party is concerned, which isn't an insult considering there have been a handful of comparatively worse Mario Party titles. What's nice though is that Mario Party 7 largely builds off of the mechanics we've seen in Mario Party 6. The item system remains the same, with orbs able to be purchased from shops or collected when passed on the board. Even the orbs available are largely the same from the last game, so I won't delve too deep into them. They're your basic movement orbs, trap orbs, space orbs, and all that good stuff we're familiar with from the last game. There are a few exceptions that come in the form of board-specific and character-specific orbs. For example, a cannon will launch you further along the path in Pagoda Peak towards the star, a Lakitu will bring you a treasure chest in Neon Heights, and a snack orb will prevent Chain Chomp from stealing from you for 3 turns in Pyramid Park. Those orbs will make a lot more sense to you once we discuss the boards. As for character-specific orbs, I can't say I'm a big fan of this because it means the characters aren't all equal and identical. Some of the characters get orbs that are objectively better than others, and it's a deal breaker for a lot of people. Personally, I think it's not that big of a deal, but it's definitely a strike against this game. The reason it doesn't really bug me too much is because, well, I don't know how else to say this, but I actually didn't even know this was a thing for the longest time. So if it's something that I didn't notice, I guess it can't really bother me that much. That's how that works, right? Anyway, in Mario Party 7 you have an 8-player mode. It's fairly gimmicky, every 2 players share a controller, but for the most part only 1 player plays at a time, except when it comes to 8-player minigames where you and your partner will each have to hold half the controller. As a result, each player now gets half a dice during each roll, so you can't roll a 1 anymore, since both players get a 1 through 5 dice block. The mode itself is not this giant revolutionary change to the gameplay, and I wouldn't recommend it if you're playing with 4 or less players, but don't sleep on this game mode for a fun party game if you have 5 or more friends over. In the right setting with some proper house rules to make sure that one player on the team isn't completely taking over, it could be a really fun time with your group of friends. It's amazing to me that the franchise has yet to release a game that's more than 4 players since, especially considering the Switch and what it's capable of. Mario Party is the perfect game to play with 5 to 8 people in my opinion, but I digress. The character-specific orbs range from protecting you from traps, letting you steal some coins, or giving you extra dice rolls. Some of them are a bit stronger than others and more useful depending on the board being played. Depending on how competitive you are and the type of Mario player you are, you might favor one character over another, but my group of friends usually just sticks with the characters we like. Plus, you're not required to purchase a special item, so if you really don't like them, just make a rule that nobody can buy them. Or just enjoy the game and let everyone enjoy their character. Every 2 characters share a character-specific item anyway, so if there are 2 items that are stronger than the other 4, your group can choose the 4 characters that have those 2 items. Moving on, I wanted to discuss the whole new bonus star system. Mario Party 6 saw the first major change in the bonus star system by replacing the coin star with the orb star. I think I forgot to mention this in my last video, but it was a welcome change to the formula because it promoted spending your coins and using more items as opposed to hoarding coins for the sake of a bonus star. And in Mario Party, more item usage usually yields to more enjoyable games. Plus, for titles that made battle minigames count towards the minigame star, it meant that a good result in a battle minigame could get you 2 bonus stars. I still hate that battle minigame tally counts towards the minigame star, but regardless, the orb star replaced the coin star in both 6 and 7. So we have the minigame star, the green star, the orb star, the running star, and the shopping star, and the red star. Yeah, there are 6 bonus stars now, but only 3 of them are offered at the end of the game, so it's harder to try and tactically guarantee yourself a bonus star, and it leaves more room for luck and randomness to take over. There seems to be a split between the Mario Party fans on this aspect, and I briefly discussed it way back in my first video. Some fans prefer the original system where you always know what the bonus stars are, and therefore you could apply some strategy to your gameplay. Other fans find it to be a lot more enjoyable when there's a large surprise factor while receiving the bonus stars. I sit somewhere in the middle. I actually don't think the shakeup changes the game as much as people think. Or at the very least, it doesn't really change how you play the game. Regarding the minigame star, you're always going to be trying to win most minigames, bonus stars or not. You're usually trying to move the most spaces, so having a running star doesn't really change your game much. The shopping star and orb star are good incentives to buy and use items, as those tend to help your game. So really the only strategy this adds is now not only should you try and aim for happening spaces, which are usually rewarding, but you should also consider that it may be beneficial to land on a red space as well. So for general gameplay, I don't think the bonus star system is too offensive. The biggest issue I have is a lack of a guaranteed minigame star, since all bonus stars only have a 50-50 shot of making the cut. The minigame star is probably the biggest balancing tool towards rewarding skill in Mario Party, and having it relegated to a 50-50 chance at appearing downplays its relevance a bit. Winning minigames in general gets you the most coins, so it's not like your skill loses all of its importance, but the minigame star really should be a guarantee. Aside from that, you can still strategize winning other bonus stars fairly simply by just rolling as high as you can, buying as many items as possible, and keeping tabs of how many red spaces were landed on in addition to the happening spaces you were already keeping tabs of. It may be a different system, but I don't think it's necessarily worse than the original one, and I don't think it changes all that much to the gameplay. I'd even argue that substituting the coin star for the orb star in Mario Party 6 fundamentally changed how you play the game a lot more than the 6 bonus star method in Mario Party 7 altered from Mario Party 6. Additionally, there have been some changes to the board spaces in Mario Party 7. Blue, red, and event spaces don't really need to be discussed. Dual spaces are back again, and they're fundamentally the same except for one huge drawback. Landing on a dual space doesn't give you the power to choose what's wagered anymore. Instead, there's a random roulette wheel that determines what you play for, which I could potentially forgive if it wasn't for 3 major faults. For starters, you don't know what you're playing for until after the duel is done, which means you don't really know how intense the situation is and could affect how you approach the minigame. You obviously always want to win your minigames, but there's definitely a stronger drive to win a minigame when you know a star or 50 coins are on the line. The second issue is the roulette wheel doesn't consider what players have. So if you didn't have a star going into the duel, you could still come out of it stealing a star from your opponent without risking any number of coins up front like you did in the last game. The next issue is the biggest one. You could land on a duel space, have a super competitive minigame play out, complete with laughs and tears and sweat, only for the roulette at the end to say you received nothing for your troubles. At that point, all the game did was waste everybody's time. I criticized Mario Party 3 for having an option for the battle minigame roulette wheel to land on 0 coins, but at least in Mario Party 3 they had the decency to not force you to play a worthless minigame. What they did here is frustrating and unforgivable, virtually ruining the dueling experience. But it's very obvious exactly why they did this, because there's a certain space that doesn't exist on this board, not as a fortune or miracle or pinball machine or anything. That's right, there's no chance time. Literally one of the best aspects of Mario Party. Despite the fact that they got it wrong in the past 4 games, at the very least it was available and provided some type of excitement. Instead, they took 2 great features and combined them into one subpar experience. Sometimes you can combine 2 things that don't necessarily gel and end up with a good product. This is not one of those times, however. Duels were a staple of Mario Party and were perfect the way they were. Chance Time, another staple, always added some kind of fun even if it was implemented poorly. Putting them together does not yield a good outcome. You're basically dueling to be the receiving party of a chance time in this game, and that belittles the duels and ruins the chance aspect of chance time. It's a poor combination. Another change to the boards is that Bowser and DK spaces now always result in a single player or multiplayer minigame. The reward for DK can be coins or a star, and the punishment from Bowser for losing can be that he takes either coins or a star away from you. Unlike many other Mario Party critics, I don't hate single player minigames since I think they're better than just landing on a space and getting rewarded or punished, so I actually like the implementation here for both of these spaces. Then there's the Koopa Kid space, who has been promoted from a playable character to an NPC, and replaces what would traditionally be considered a Bowser space, since the Bowser space in this game specifically triggers a Bowser minigame. Koopa Kid now takes control of Bowser's Revolution, Shuffle, and all that good doom and gloom that has become commonplace in the series. What's interesting though is a player could get rid of a Koopa Kid space by throwing their own orb on that space, but there are plenty of Koopa Kid spaces and more can be added throughout the match, so it's not really that big of a loss. It's also not that big of a loss because the game has an event known as Bowser Time. But before jumping into Bowser Time, I wanted to complain about the last space on the board, the mic space. I've never used the mic, I'm not a fan of it, so when I turned it off, it'd be nice if the mic space would just turn into a regular blue or red space. But no, instead I have to watch this dumb mini cutscene every time I land on this space, which is unforgivable. The only plus side here is that I love Toadsworth's voice, and that little hoo-hoo noise he makes. Anyway, Bowser Time. It's a new addition that occurs automatically every 5 turns. The best way to describe it is that it's kind of like landing on a traditional Bowser space every 5 turns, where Bowser will do something Bowsery to everyone. It's an aspect of Mario Party 7 that's pretty much hated by a lot of fans, but I tend to feel about it the same way I do about the day-night cycle in Mario Party 6, in that my only complaint about it is that since it's a feature in every single board, it streamlines the gameplay and makes it lose value a bit and takes away some of the uniqueness of each board. But other than that, it's not really something I hate or love that much, it's just part of the game. which, like I said, is the exact same way I feel about the day-night cycle in Mario Party 6. There are certain aspects of Bowser Time I dislike more than others though, my least favorite of which is Bowser casually taking 10 or 20 coins away from every player for this dumb photograph. Like, why even bother just making everyone lose a set of coins at random? Seems like an odd decision. At least in the previous games, if Bowser was going to do something like that, it's because somebody landed on his space. But here it's just something that could occur during any 5th turn. Another Bowser Time punishment will see Bowser take over any orb shop and force the next player to pass him to pay an unreasonable amount for a useless golden Bowser, which he will keep by the way, or force you to buy a Koopa Kid orb for an unreasonable price, in which case Koopa Kid will toss it into a random space on the board, creating another Koopa Kid space. And then there are board-specific punishments that may occur during Bowser Time, but I'll discuss those when we get to the boards. Before that, I wanted to discuss the last 4-turn event. That's right, since Bowser Time occurs on the 5th last turn, the last 5-turn event was pushed back a turn. The options here are tripling the value of the blue and red spaces, last place player receiving 40 coins, price of the star is halved, all red spaces become Bowser spaces, or 10 Koopa Kid spaces are added to the board. The 40 coins to 4th place seems a little steep, and Koopa Kid and Bowser spaces seem like excessive punishments that belong on a Bowser board, but I dig the tripled value of blue and red spaces as well as having the cost of the stars. It all just adds to that Mario Party madness, and it ultimately isn't that much of a difference than previous titles. But now that I'm 7 games in, I think if I had to choose my own personal last 5-turn event, it would just consist of doubling or tripling red and blue spaces, and giving the player in last place 10 or 20 coins, and a mushroom or golden mushroom. Everything else could add to the fun, but I've always felt it was a bit much. By the way, I don't know where to squeeze this in, but both Mario Party 6 and 7 didn't have hidden blocks, and that's totally unfortunate. Actually, since Mario Party 5, hidden blocks have only appeared on DS and Super on Switch. And in Mario Party 5 they're only worth 10 coins and never gave you a star. As far as 6 and 7 are concerned though, I imagine it's because there are random ways to earn a star on almost every board, plus DK spaces can potentially give you a star, so I think that's probably why they opted to remove them here. I'm personally a big fan of them though, and I think that they belong in Mario Party as much as Chance Time does, and they should always have at least a chance of rewarding you a star. But I think I've covered enough about this game's mechanics, and I'm finally ready to discuss the boards. Grand Canal is your standard Mario Party board. It has multiple routes, a cool aesthetic, and a Bowser Time event that if randomly selected involves destroying certain bridges and replacing them with 3 Bowser spaces, and it lasts for 3 turns. Also, there's a blooper space at the top of the map behind a happening space that could see you either winning or losing a star with a simple guessing game. The remaining happening spaces will either launch you to another part of the board, send you back to the start, or give you a chance to earn up to 20 coins. I think this board could really use a Boo or something to spice it up a bit, but alas, Boo, or Pink Boo rather, is hidden in an orb so you can't steal unless you get the orb, throw it on the board, and another player lands on it, which is consistent throughout the game. Side note, I'm not over the fact that Boo became a playable character and isn't a staple on the boards. Losing him was almost as bad as losing hidden blocks in Chance Time. Speaking of which, Birdo and Dry Bones are now playable characters, and with the loss of Koopa Kid, that means our tally is at 12. Anyway, Grand Canal is overall a good introductory map, and it has a fun little Italian theme to make it a bit more charming. It's an okay board that in my opinion surpasses both Towering Treetop and Egad's Garage from Mario Party 6, so we're off to a good start when it comes to standard Mario Party boards. Up next is Pagoda Peak, an ancient Chinese theme level that takes place on a mountain. The Chinese theme is really enjoyable to me. The music is catchy, the board itself is a linear board, which would normally downplay the value to me a bit if it didn't have a neat gimmick regarding the price of the star at the top of the mountain. The star goes up 10 coins in cost every time someone buys one, and after it hits 40 coins the price goes back down to 10 coins and starts over. Movement orbs are crucial in this level, since you need to be able to plan on rolling high or low depending on the price to try and get yourself the best price while potentially forcing an opponent to jump ahead of you and spend 4 times what you will on a star. The trap orbs and throw orbs also play a much more significant role in this level, since the linearity guarantees certain locations at the beginning will be crossed quite a bit. The price of the star can also be changed by a happening space. Other happening spaces will see you strapped to a bottle rocket and set higher up the mountain or earning a capsule. But the worst one is definitely the happening spaces on the top, right before the star, which will send you all the way back to the start. This one definitely hurts the most and makes for some hilarious moments in Mario Party. The board-specific Bowser Time events will either destroy a bridge for 1 turn, meaning you'll stop right before the bridge on that turn regardless of what you roll, or Bowser will cause a mini earthquake that'll make the players fall down the mountain a few spaces. There's also a cannon orb specifically in this level which will send you higher up the mountain when used. Honestly, it's just a solid board all around and I always get a kick out of it. It might be my favorite one in this game, or at least tied in first. The next board is definitely in last place, Pyramid Park. So the gameplay here is the exact same as Snowflake Lake in Mario Party 6, which starts everyone with 5 stars and forces you to use Chain Chomps to steal a star from the other players. I think they did a way better job with this in Mario Party 6 because the level was a lot simpler and fit the gameplay better. The board itself is nice and would have flourished as a regular star hunting board, but the current gameplay style doesn't really work with it. The biggest issue I have with is a red chain chomp in the top left corner gives you triple the dice blocks for the same price as one for the other chain chomp, so everyone is frequently just circling the path to get to that chain chomp, and only really using the other ones if they happen to fall in their path. Which is such a bummer too because there's a lot this board has to offer, and it's all gone to waste. A Bowser Sphinx that can set a curse, Womp's Return, teleporting quicksand similar to Mario Party 3's desert level, and a board-specific Bowser time that'll steal a star from first place and give it to a Koopa Kid NPC that'll allow other players a shot to steal it from him with a chain chomp. There's just so much lost potential here, and as a result, I don't ever see myself playing this board. I barely enjoyed this board gimmick in Mario Party 6, and that one was definitely better than this one. Next, we're greeted with another favorite board of mine, Neon Heights. Similar to Pagoda Peak, this board looks and sounds really good. The gimmick here is that instead of chasing a single star space, you're chasing 3 treasure chests scattered throughout the map where only one of them holds a star. The other 2 hold 20 coins and a bomb that'll blast you back to the start. This is the closest we've come to the gimmick from the desert level in Mario Party 3, which involves a Mirage Star. And I think it's better here than it was in Mario Party 3, because instead of just a Mirage, you actually could earn coins or be sent back to the start. So there's a bit more excitement as a result. One complaint I might have is that there are too many single-player minigames that occur when they're passed that offer you a chance to earn coins. One of them involves timing some shots at posters while the other involves a short baseball minigame. They're actually pretty cool distractions on the board, but they take a lot of time during gameplay since they could be activated every single time a character passes by them. If they were hidden behind a happening space, I'd have no issues with them at all, so it's unfortunate that they're not. There's a rocket at the top of the board that lets you button mash to earn coins, and if you're a really fast button masher, you could even get a star. But I personally have never seen anyone button mash fast enough to get the start, and I myself am an all-star button masher. Either way, the chance to earn coins is nice. There's another happening space that lets you play a matching game for coins, and finally another happening space that changes the location of the treasure chests. I'm a big fan of Bowser time on this board too. There are only 4 things that could occur during Bowser time, and really the only one that stinks is the photo one that involves stealing 10 to 20 coins from all the players. The other 3 consist of stealing coins from everyone and adding that coin count to the treasure chest that holds 20 coins, taking a star away from first place and adding it to the treasure chest that'll now contain 2 stars instead, and throwing a Czar in the Bob-omb treasure chest, which will make the player lose a star if they're unlucky. I think Bowser Time's implementation makes this board a lot more exciting, and it doesn't feel as lame as it does in the other boards because 3 out of the 4 possibilities are exclusive to this board. The final thing to consider is that Lakitu Orb will bring a treasure chest to you, and if you're lucky it'll have the star in it. All in all, a really fun board to play, and my favorite alongside of Pagoda Peak. Then there's an all new gimmick in Windmillville. Windmills are scattered around the board and are worth either 1, 2, or 3 stars. In order to earn the rights to the star in those windmills, you have to invest the greatest number of coins into them. So every time you pass, you want to throw some coins in and hope you end the game with the highest investment. Your coin count doesn't disappear though, so if you throw 20 coins in and another player invests 21, you only need to add 2 more coins in the windmill next time you pass it to own the rights to the star again. The trick is to end the game with the highest coin investment worth most stars. You shouldn't casually skip the windmills only worth 1 star, and you should definitely try and nab yourself 2 or 3 star windmills. You could lose some of your investment coins if anyone places a board specific bandit orb and you land on it, or if 2 out of the 3 Bowser time events are triggered. One of them involving Bowser completely destroying a windmill, making everyone lose their investment and putting a fresh, non-invested windmill in its place. And another sending Koopa Kid to steal some invested coins. Most of these punishments hurt, but they complement the board gimmick fairly well. This is completely subjective, but this board, along with the 2 Chain Chomp boards in Mario Party 6 and 7, are the only 3 boards in the first 7 games that I legitimately feel like are different enough where they are no longer considered Mario Party boards. All boards have gimmicks, some of them work better than others, but they all have that same general objective, and for the most part it works, even if some of the board designs are questionable. But Windmillville, Pyramid Park, and Snowflake Lake legitimately feel like they belong in the extra sections of these games. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I don't really discuss extras in these retrospectives, but there's a ton of fun to be had in them. It's just that these 3 boards specifically really don't feel like they're what Mario Party is about, and are more of a side distraction than anything else in my opinion. They're fun, but they're just not quite right in my opinion. So while I may enjoy Windmillville, it's only played on very rare occasions. Luckily, we're going to end on a high with a bold statement. Bowser's Enchanted Inferno is by far the best Bowser board in the entire Mario Party series thus far. And spoiler alert, I think it's better than any of the Bowser stages in the games released after number 7 too. It's basically a standard Mario Party game style that involves 4 separate islands with a few different junctions that connect the 4 islands. There's no annoying gimmick that'll make you feel like you're trapped on the islands too, and it's pretty seamless to move around. There are happening spaces all over the place, and they can result in coins being earned, players being moved, the star being moved, or even on the rare occasion someone winning a star. There's a lot going on here and it's fitting for a Bowser board. But the best part of this board is the Bowser time. There is only one Bowser time event that occurs on this board, so that means there's no dumb photographs to ruin the fun. Instead, the fun here is that during every Bowser Time event, Bowser will sink whichever island holds the star into the lava, and any player on that island will lose half of their coins and the star will be moved to a different island. It's a harsh punishment, but since we always know it's coming every 5 turns, that allows you to do your best to try and avoid it. This is legitimately a fun level with a difficulty spike to it. I don't think I've enjoyed a Bowser board this much since Mario Party 2. Actually, now that I think about it, I should be including this board with Pagoda Peak and Neon Heights when I speak about my favorite Mario Party 7 boards. In my last review, I mentioned that if you're going to have a bunch of gimmicky boards that involve stealing stars or windmills or linear paths or whatever, then you need to have some standard Mario Party style boards to knock it out of the park. Well, this is the board that does it in Mario Party 7, and what makes it even better is that although Pyramid Park is weak and Windmillville doesn't even feel like a Mario Party, the fact that Pagoda Peak, Neon Heights, and Bowser's Enchanted Inferno are as fun as they are more than makes up for it. And if you want just a basic entry-level Mario Party board, Grand Canal does a better job at being one of those than EGAD's Garage or Towering Treetop in Mario Party 6 ever did. Ultimately, that means there are 4 boards that are fun, and 2 that probably should have been in the extras. But all that's left now is to discuss the minigames. I'm going to go with the masses here and say that the minigame package in this title is a treat. It's such a properly balanced bundle of minigames with varying mechanics. It's not earth-shattering or groundbreaking, and it's not like it's miles ahead of the remaining titles, but it is very clear that these minigames were made by a team that has released 6 previous Mario Party games and has learned a ton from them. I mean shoot, out of the 13 4-player minigames, the only one that really stinks is Cointagious, and even then, I don't mind it too much because it's an easy coin grab minigame, despite relying on luck. Catchy tunes, Bubble Brawl, Fun Run. Geez, looking at the list of 4-player games here, and I can probably name all of them with fondness. They have that perfect balance between creative and unique and work very well as a whole package. On the 2v2 end, the minigames do a good job requiring you to coordinate with your partner, which makes the atmosphere a lot more enjoyable when you're playing with a group. Minigames like Battery Run, World Peace, and Spider Stomp all stick out to me as highlights from the 12 minigames in the 2v2 list. I have no issue with any of them. In fact, I commend them for finding a way to make the package feel both familiar and fresh. Heck, even the 9 1 vs 3 minigames don't feel all that unbalanced as previous titles do. It's kind of a bummer that there's only 9 of them, but honestly, they have such a hard time balancing 1 vs 3 minigames that I'm content with less if they're balanced. Also, I may be conveniently ignoring the fact that there are 5 1 vs 3 mic minigames that I haven't played in over a decade, and those were definitely unbalanced. But for the sake of this retrospective, I don't really consider them part of the main game. Anyway, Spray Anything favors the 3, and Pogo A Go-Go favors the 1, so even though there are 2 unbalanced minigames, they kind of balance each other out. The rest of them I'd argue are balanced enough, but some of them are entirely contingent on skill level. I've always felt minigames should be fairly easy to master, but some of these ones will take a few tries to get used to. Specifically Think Tank and Spinner Cell, but if all 4 players are fairly skilled at Mario Party games, I think you'll find them to be balanced fairly quickly. I think Flash Fright also favors the 1. I don't know if it's a result of my recent playthrough since I don't remember it being so one-sided before, but 30 seconds is too long of a window when you consider how small the area is, and that the 1 is faster than the 3. It's still a cool concept nonetheless, but anyway, I enjoy all 9 of these games. As for the battle minigames, they don't have as much oomph to me as some of the glorious ones from previous games. Even the luck-based one is just drawing cards, so there's none of them that provide that excitement in the pit of your stomach. Helipopper, while it reminds me of the old Army Men games, is a fresh concept, but it always feels like the one player will just be lucky enough to spawn near most of the balloons. I think I'd have preferred this minigame more if it was a shooter and you had to defeat your opponents instead of popping balloons. Monty's Revenge is a really fun reverse whack-a-mole, Air Force is a nice and quick physics-based minigame that takes some practice to perfect, and the final countdown is your standard brawler, with the gimmick being sections of the floor disappearing when they reach 0. I really enjoy those last 3 battle minigames, just not sure if they're really right for the battle category. Either way, battle minigames were ruined when they stopped being a space on the board and became random occurrences in lieu of 4-player minigames, so it's hard to feel any more hurt than I already do. I like all 12 of the dual minigames. They're surprisingly some of the best in the series. There aren't any dumb luck-based ones that involve grabbing a rope, which obviously was necessary to make these require more skill since the reward at the end is a chance block against the loser. And you don't really want a minigame based on chance to give you a chance at a chance block for the chance to steal stars, coins, or nothing. At that point, you might as well just bring Chance Time back. God, I miss Chance Time. Anyway, the dual minigames are solid skill-based head-to-head challenges that get 2 thumbs up from me. The single-player DK minigames vary in quality. Jumpman is a really cool throwback to the OG Donkey Kong arcade. This minigame really should have been a dual one, but it's fun regardless. A bridge too short is way too easy to win. If DK would have been programmed to be a bit smarter and knew how to screen look off of the other player, then I could potentially see this one being a bit more challenging. I wouldn't care as much either if there wasn't a potential of receiving a star as a reward here. Vine Country is alright, not amazing but not horrible. The 3 multiplayer DK minigames are a bit more underwhelming. They're basically just coin-based minigames, but you collect bananas instead. But my issue is 2 out of the 3 lean a bit too much on luck. You can argue bananas faster involves timing skills, but that wheel is just a bit too fast to comfortably master. And I'd have nicer things to say about stump change if the controls were a bit better. But I can accept the crutch since everyone has it. The 3 single-player Bowser minigames just ooze Nintendo 64-era single-player minigames, where they're way easier than they should be, but I still enjoy them since they do force a player to actually do something. The multiplayer Bowser minigames, on the other hand, are solid survival-type minigames, and with the pending punishment to the losers on the line, it can get really heated during these ones. I don't think I've enjoyed Bowser minigames this much since Mario Party 4, which, by the way, I still think has the best Bowser minigames despite being extremely rare and taking way too long in that title. The final category to talk about is probably my favorite of the entire series: 8-player minigames. These obviously have to be dumbed down a bit to account for the fact that 2 players are each using a controller, but they do a good job with the mechanics and controls to accommodate. There's 12 of them too, so they don't just slap a few on there for rare occasions. An 8-player minigame happens in lieu of a 4-player minigame. You'll only get a few per match, but they're honestly a spectacle and always a lot of fun if you're actually playing with 8 people. Give Me a Break stands out to me as a great game of chicken with 8 players. Bob-omb Plague is an 8-player hot potato. Bumper to Bumper is a fast-paced 8-player bumper balls type game. Grin and Bar It brings 8 players to the traditional jump rope type game, and then you have the rest of the minigames all varying in style and still really fun. Some of them do require you to work with your teammate, which is the player that you share your controller with, and some of them are a free-for-all in practice, but really you're still teamed up with the person you're sharing the controller with. In fact, there's only one minigame out of these 12 that I don't like, and it's Spin-Off. It seems a bit too hard to time everything, but that just might be me. I mentioned it earlier, but don't sleep on the 8-player mode. If you have more than 4 friends over, this is definitely the Mario Party title to run. I want to wrap things up by saying that although there are quite a few gimmicks that bother me about this game, and some questionable decisions that have been made in the series up until this point, I think I can say that without a doubt this is the best Mario Party title on the Nintendo GameCube. The lows of Mario Party 4 really made me enjoy Mario Party 5 a lot more than I expected to, and there's still a lot of good in Mario Party 5. Heck, even Mario Party 6 is a great game on its own and basically set the foundation for Mario Party 7 to flourish the way it does. Up until now, I placed Mario Party 5 along Mario Party 2, stating that they're my 2 favorite boards, but I always preferred Mario Party 2 to Mario Party 5, just not by that big of a margin. Mario Party 7 though, man, I'm so tempted to say this is my favorite game of the series, but the 10-year-old in me might punch me in the nose if I do. He'll remind me of Mario Party 2's Chance Time, and the proper dueling system, the costumes and the awesome lineup of boards available, and he'd point out all of the annoyances I have with the series as a whole and Mario Party 7 specifically, with how much they've changed in their removal of things that didn't need to be removed. And he'd be right. Up until now, I don't think I've actually used minigames as a gauge to compare these Mario Party titles, since I've always said you can enjoy every one of these games just by playing the minigames and the boards is what differentiates them. Well, I think when you're going across generations and you're throwing up a comparison between the 7th game and the 2nd game in the series, you kind of need to check yourself a bit and realize that a lot of the minigame objectives, and even their controls in the 64 titles, aren't as polished as the GameCube controls. Heck, I can see it when I play with my younger family members. In the Nintendo 64 titles, they often had a hard time timing specific movements and having the character react appropriately to their button prompts, and that's not even considering the input lag and hitboxes the 64 minigames had versus the GameCube. Something that for me is second nature to adapt to, but for others it might not be. With that in mind, I think it's safe to say that Mario Party 7 can easily be argued to be way better than Mario Party 2, with the minigames being the tiebreaker. I won't say it is better because my heart won't let me, but if someone told me it was, I'd understand. I'd understand it a lot more than when people say 3 or 6 are better, because they're not, and I'm willing to die on that hill. But Mario Party 7, a game so disliked by the fanbase, really deserves a lot more respect than it gets. I had a blast playing this game, and I'm going to continue having a blast with it for a long time. And I'm especially excited to tackle the 8-player mode next time I have a get-together with enough people, because even though it feels totally tacked on with little effort, it's better than playing 4 players and having everyone else just kind of sit around watching. When you involve everyone, it tends to be a lot more fun. I gotta say though, I'm kind of sad I'm done with the GameCube Mario Party games. It feels like my retrospective is wrapping up fairly soon. Only 5 more videos. 8 DS, a 9 and 10 combo, Super and Superstars when it comes out. Oh god, I just said I have 5 more videos. How the hell am I gonna finish all that in the next month? I shouldn't even be wasting my time reminding you guys to like and subscribe. I gotta go get to work. Thanks for watching. Dean out.